Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well and you are preparing very well for the upcoming examinations. So in this video I will be talking about cyclones. So recently cyclones were in news, and most recent one, the cyclone Fengel, which has struck the southern part of India, especially the parts of Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. So in this context, we'll try to discuss here what are cyclones, how these cyclones are formed, and their nomenclature. So this will be part of current affairs series for those who will be appearing next year in civil services, or let us say CDS, CAPF examinations. So let us begin. So what are cyclones first of all? So if we see the definition, so it says that cyclones are powerful rotating storms. So they are basically the storms, and they will form over warm ocean waters. So the condition here is that the surface temperature of ocean water should be on warmer side, and it should be characterized by low pressure at the center, and there should be high winds. So there are basically three conditions: the ocean water should be warm, the center should be having low pressure, and there should be high winds. So once these conditions are met, then it will give rise to the cyclones. In other words, we can say it is a cyclonic storm or a cyclone. It is an intense vortex or a whirl with very strong winds circulating around it in anti-clockwise direction in northern hemisphere. So these cyclones, they will rotate anti-clockwise in northern hemisphere, and it will be clockwise in southern hemisphere. So why this is so? So we know that this is because of Coriolis effect of Earth's rotation. So this Coriolis effect is due to Earth's rotation around its own axis. So because of this Coriolis effect, these things happen in northern and southern hemisphere. Now, our National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA), they classify cyclones into broadly into two categories. First is tropical cyclones, and the other is extratropical cyclones. So these extratropical cyclones are also called as temperate cyclones or mid-latitude cyclones. So in India, what we have is tropical cyclones. So we have to remember this. As per NDMA classification, cyclones are broadly divided into two categories: tropical cyclones and extratropical cyclones. Now there is one more term which is related to cyclone, that is landfall. So we have to see what we mean by this word landfall. So the Indian Meteorological Department says that when this tropical cyclone comes over the coast, then landfall is believed to happen. So it is an event when cyclone is coming onto the land after being over water. So earlier that cyclone was rotating over the sea water, ocean water, and now that has come onto the land. So IMD says when the eye of that cyclone moves over the coast, it is said that landfall has begun. So this is what is the term landfall. Now these tropical cyclones are referred by different names in different parts of world. So if it is Atlantic Ocean, they are called as hurricanes. Cyclones are called as hurricanes in Atlantic Ocean. Same cyclones are called as typhoons in Pacific Ocean. Then in case of Australian seas, it is called as willy willies, and it is simply called as cyclones over here in India, that is North Indian Ocean. So they have different names in different parts of the world. So tropical cyclones are those which develop in the regions between tropics, that is Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer. So if cyclone is originating between the tropics, then it will be called as tropical cyclones, and if it is beyond the tropics, then that will be called as mid-latitude cyclones or extratropical cyclones. So they occur outside the tropics, and they have cold air at their core. So this is what we have to remember here. So as we said, we see now that in case of tropical cyclones we have warm air, or in case of extratropical cyclones it is cold air at their core. Now let us see how a cyclone is formed. So this is very important. The first condition here is cyclones form over warm ocean waters. So the ocean water should be warm, that is temperature should be on higher side. So this warm will provide the necessary heat and moisture to fuel the cyclone. This warm water will cause the ocean water to evaporate, creating warm, moist air. And this moist air will rise from the ocean surface, and as a result, what will happen? The surface will experience low air pressure. So there will be decrease in air pressure at the surface. So when this moist air rises from the surface, so there will be less air pressure at the surface. So the second condition is formation of a low pressure system. So these cyclones are basically low pressure systems. This is what we have to remember here, low pressure systems. So when the air rises up, when this warm air rises up and it moves away from the ocean surface, it creates an area of lower air pressure below. So what happens as a result? The surrounding air with higher pressure will come, and it will again further lead to warming up of air and causes it to rise above. So what will happen? Once the moist air, warm and moist air has risen up, the surrounding air which is having higher pressure, it will come and it will move towards the low pressure area, and this will again lead to warming up of air and it causes it to rise above. And the other condition is cyclonic circulation. So as we have seen that due to this Coriolis effect, the rising air will start spinning around the low pressure center. So just now we have discussed that in northern hemisphere it will spin in anti-clockwise direction, and in southern hemisphere it will spin in clockwise direction. So in this diagram we can see here, this is the top view of an cyclone. So here we can see this is called as an eye of cyclone, and the surrounding part is called as eye wall. So we can see here, this is the eye of cyclone and this boundary is called as eye wall. So like this it will move in the outward direction. So what will happen? When the warm moist air will rise upwards, the surrounding neighboring air with high pressure will come and it will push again air to become warm and move upwards. So like this, spiraling winds will be created and this will give birth to the cyclone. So this is what we can see through this the diagram. So as the wind system rotates with increasing speed, an eye gets formed in the middle. So the center of cyclone, that is the eye of cyclone, it is very calm and clear with very low air pressure. So this difference of temperature between warm rising and cooler air, this is what causes air to rise and become buoyant in nature. Eventually, cyclone will dissipate over the time. So when it is said to be dissipate, so it will weaken and dissipate when it moves over cooler waters and it encounters dry air or it interacts with land coastal surface. So this interaction will lead to the disruption of warm or moist air. Till when it is receiving warm and moist air, then the cyclone will be having its energy. Once it encounters cooler waters or drier air, so this will disrupt the supply of warm and moist air, and as a result cyclone will weaken. Now coming to the last part of this lecture, so how are the cyclones named actually? So the names are maintained by an international committee of World Meteorological Organization. In case of India, cyclones in North Indian Ocean region are named by regional specialized meteorological centers. So these are called as RSMC. So these regional specialized centers, they will name the cyclones. So in this case, these RMCs will name cyclones for India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. So each country will contribute names to a list on a rotating basis. And why this is done? To make the communication easier and more efficient. So this is how cyclones are named actually. So tell me in comment section which country has given the name Fengel to the recently striked cyclone in southern part of India. So that is from today's lecture. See you in next lecture. Thank you for watching my video.